What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Oak Tree Football Channel, and welcome to another 2020 college football schedule breakdown and record prediction video. Today, I'll be doing the California Golden Bears. Cal has had some very, very big upsets in the past, both in the non-conference and in their own conference. They were actually pretty good last year, pretty underrated team last season, and a team that I think will be pretty underrated this year. A team that I'm actually very high on. I think it'd be pretty good this season. They play in the Pac-12 North with Oregon. The Pac-12 is one of the weaker conferences. You could say that it's the weakest conference, weakest Power 5 conference at least. So there's more weaker teams, but Cal is a pretty good team in my opinion, and I could see them going into the top 25 this season. Have the talent. They have Chase Garbers as their quarterback, who was injured for parts of last year, but when he played, I think he was very, very good. Cal is a team that has talent on both sides of the ball. Chase Garbers on offense, and then that secondary, the defensive backfield on the defense is just fantastic. One of the better ones in the country. So Cal should be a pretty good team this season. Probably not anything special, but I think they should be pretty good. So let's get into this. 8-5 last year, like I said, pretty good season. And they had the third and ninth best recruiting class in the country. They are not losing too much talent, so that recruiting class is pretty good. They are losing Ashton Davis, but other than that, they're not losing too much. Okay, let's get into the schedule. So Cal is one of the few teams that will be playing week 0 this season, which of course means that they have 2 byes later in the year. They play week 0 and they play at UNLV. This is a road game for Cal, but I really don't see it being a challenge. I do think UNLV will improve from where they were last year, but I don't think they'll improve so much in a single season that they'll be able to compete with Cal. That's just not going to happen realistically, especially if it's the first game of the season. Even though UNLV is at home, I really don't see Cal having too much of a problem here. So it should be a pretty easy win in week 0. And then week 1, you have a very interesting game. It's against TCU. TCU is a team that I expect to get better this season, definitely. They're bringing in talent, had a very good recruiting class, actually. Brought in Zachary Evans, the 5-star recruit. I believe he's a running back, so that was very good for them. They got Max Duggan coming in for a second season. But it's going to be tough for them to compete with Cal on the road early in the year. If this was later in the year, I think there would be a better chance for TCU, and if TCU was at home, I think there would be a better chance. But just Cal's at home, it's early in the season, and I feel like it's a lot more likely Cal will get the win here. I can see it being close. I can see TCU putting a pretty good fight, but I don't really see TCU being able to win this game. I do think it's a possibility, but I feel it's a lot more likely Cal will win. Week 2, they play Cal Poly. They're an FCS school. They should have no problem here. That should be an easy win. So they should have at least 2 wins at this point in the year. Probably 3, because I do think they should beat TCU, but that could be a loss. I would not be surprised if that's a loss, but I do think it should be a win for Cal. Week 3, they have a bye, and then week 4, they have a very interesting game at home against Utah. Utah is a team that will take a step back from the year. They're just from last year. They're losing so much, but I still think they should be pretty good this year. They are losing some very good talent, such as quarterback Tyler Huntley, but they're replacing him with Jake Bentley, the former South Carolina quarterback, who I think can be pretty good because of his SEC experience. But the real problem on their offense is running back. They lost Zach Moss, and they need to find a replacement for him. I think this game could be close early, but I think Cal will pull away later in the game. Utah just has so many holes, and I do still think they'll be a good team, but running back is a hole. On the defense, they have some holes. Don't have anything all that special at the wide receiver position and stuff. So there are definitely some holes for Utah that need to be fixed before Utah can be a really good contender again. And I do still think they'll be a good team, but just not as good as last year. They were very good last year, and I don't think they'll be that good again. Week 5, they have their second road game of the season, their second in-conference game of the season against Washington State. Washington State will probably be just about okay this year, but I don't think there'll be anything special. They're losing longtime head coach Mike Leach, who had that air raid offense, so that system is gone. Their offense probably won't be great in my opinion. Their offense is going to take a step back, and I do think Cal will get the win. It will be close in my opinion. I could see them dropping this game just because they're on the road, but Washington State is a team I expect them to make a bowl game this year, but kind of like just making a bowl game around 6-6, 7-5 in my opinion. So I do think that Cal should be able to get the win here. It's going to make it a bit tougher because they're on the road, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's close or Maybe even if Cal loses, I do think that's a possibility, but I feel like Cal should win this one. So in my opinion, the start of the season is not too hard. They could drop one to TCU, Utah, or Washington State, but at this point, I think they have at most 2 losses, but probably 1 loss, maybe even undefeated at this point in the year. So it's a pretty easy start, in my opinion, for Cal. But then their schedule starts to get tougher. Week 6, they have to go on the road at USC. USC is a team that some people are very high on the season. I'm not super high on them, but I still think that USC will probably win this game. USC is a good team. I think that USC is definitely a good team. Keaton Slovis could be a very good quarterback. Amon-Ra St. Brown, their wide receiver, could be a very good wide receiver. So USC has a good offense. They have some pieces on their defense that are good as well. So USC is a team I expect to be good. And I really can't see Cal winning this game because USC is at home. I think USC is the better team, and USC just being at home, I think that's going to be too much for Cal. I'm not counting Cal out, but it seems a lot more likely to me that USC will win. I just feel that USC has a more talent than Cal. And because they're the home team, I think this will be a win for USC. And then they have another tough game in Week 7 against Oregon. They are at home, so maybe they can get an upset. They've upset some teams in the past, including Oregon, so maybe can they get a big upset here? It is a possibility. Oregon is a team that I think is really a quarterback away from being a really, really good team. And in my opinion, even with Tyler Show, they can be a pretty good team, might even sneak into the playoff. So this is going to be a tough one for the Golden Bears. It could go either way, in my opinion. I do think Oregon's the better team because they just have talent all over that roster on both offense and defense. Probably a top 5 defense in college football, and definitely have some good pieces on that offense. So it's going to be a tough one for Cal. Cal could get the upset. They definitely could. They have gotten some big upsets in the past. They are at home for this game. They could get an upset here, but I think Oregon's a safer bet, and I am leaning towards Oregon at the moment. Also because Cal is coming off a game at USC, which even if they do win, it'll probably be close, and they probably will struggle there. So I really don't see much of a chance that Cal will beat Oregon right after USC. Maybe there's a chance, but I'm leaning towards Oregon in this one. So then they go on the road Week 8 again to play Oregon State. Oregon State is a team that I don't think will be great this year, but I could see them giving Cal a challenge. You know, Cal is coming off 2 tough games. They're on the road in this one. Cal is the better team. Oregon State does have some talent, though, so it could be an interesting game. I do think Cal should be able to win, but maybe Oregon State can get an upset in this one, but I do think Cal should be able to get the win, so I'm leaning towards them in that one. Week 9, very interesting game. They have to play Washington. I think that Washington will have a similar record to last season, potentially even better. They're losing their Hall of Fame head coach, so it's probably going to be a transition year, but I still expect Washington to be a pretty good team this season. This could be a very close game. It could go either way, in my opinion. Cal is the home team, which is very good for them, but Washington's a good team. I think these teams are pretty similar based on talent. I do think Cal is a bit better, but Washington's still a very good team, so it's going to be an interesting game. At the moment, I am leaning towards Cal, just because I think Cal's a better team and because they're at home. But Washington could 100% win this game, and I really would not be too surprised if that was the case. Week 10, they play at Arizona State. Arizona State has been a pretty good team at home in the past. They have had some big upsets, including a huge upset last year when they beat, I believe, number 6 ranked Oregon. I think they're number 6, if I'm remembering correctly. So this is going to be a tough one for Cal. Arizona State is very, very good when they play in Sun Devil Stadium, their home stadium, of course. I don't see this being much of a game for Cal. You know, Arizona State isn't fantastic team. They will take a step up from last year, in my opinion, and they will probably be ranked, but they're not anything fantastic. Cal could definitely win this game if they're at home, but Arizona State, the mixture of them just being a good team and being at home, I just don't know if Cal will be able to get the win there. So I am leaning towards Arizona State at the moment. Week 11, they have their second bye of the year. Week 12, they play Stanford. I think they should win this game because they're at home. Maybe Stanford can surprise them. Stanford is a team I expect to maybe make a bowl this year. Probably 6-6 or 5-7 would be my prediction. So this could be an important game for Stanford. Cal is at home. I could actually see Stanford getting the upset in this one, but I feel like it's a lot more likely that Cal will win, so I'm leaning towards them in this one. And then Week 13, they play UCLA. I don't think UCLA will be that great this year, if I'm honest, so I really don't see Cal having too much of a problem at home against UCLA. So now, as I always do, I'll go through each game once again, and I'll give my prediction for who I think will win. Week 1 at UNLV, I think that's a win. I think they beat TCU and Cal Poly. I think it's a 3-0 start very easily. Maybe they drop one at TCU, but I do currently have them winning. Then they have their bye. They could lose to Utah, but I'm going to have them win. I think they'll beat Washington State. I think they'll lose to USC. I think they'll lose Oregon. I think they'll beat Oregon State. I think they will beat Washington, lose Arizona State, Stanford, and UCLA. So, what I just said gave them 3 losses, but I'm actually predicting them to have 4 losses this season just because they have a few more tough games, and I think they will drop one. For me, they will lose Arizona State, USC, and Oregon. Maybe they can get an upset in one of them, but I think they will lose those 3. And then I think they'll drop one either Washington, Washington State, Utah, or TCU. They just have some 4 pretty tough games there. So, they will probably lose one of them. They're only on the road for one of them, which is good, but maybe they lose out of conference against TCU. Maybe they lose to Utah, like I said. Maybe Washington State gets them on the road, or maybe Washington will be able to be the one that get them. So, best case for me, probably 10-2, where their only losses would probably be either at Arizona State or at USC, and then probably Oregon. Worst case, probably 6-6. I do think they'll return to or make a bowl game this season, but I think it'll probably be very close if it doesn't go right. Maybe Chase Garbers doesn't play very good. Maybe that defense just doesn't play as good as most of us think it will. So this is my prediction for Cal this season. Like I said, I have some high expectations for them, and I think they will be able to live up to those expectations. I feel like the pieces are really aligning for them this year. Maybe 9-3. I originally actually had them at 9-3, but I just feel like they'll drop one of those 4 games that I mentioned, just because those are 4 pretty tough games, and I just feel that it's pretty likely that they'll drop one of them. So I feel that they're probably going to finish somewhere between 7-5 and 9-3. In my current prediction is right in the middle of that 8-4. So those are my thoughts on the Cal Golden Bears for this year. What are your guys' thoughts? Tell me in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe for more daily NFL and college football content. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next video.